People who downloaded their Google data and went through it. What were the most unsettling things you found out they had stored about you? My mom told me she was spending up to $600 a month on Facebook and mobile games. She used to be a millionaire, and she thought the oil checks would never stop coming, but they were getting smaller and smaller. Then one day, they stopped. She lives with my sister now, works at a call center, pays no rent and almost had to declare bankruptcy. She still plays mobile and FB games non-stop. As soon as she gets off work she starts drinking and chain-smoking cigarettes and playing her games. My sister keeps asking her where all her money goes. I keep telling her games, and she won't believe me. Shrugs at it for clarity. She didn't spend millions of dollars on games. The games started after her money went down and they continued after she moved in with my sister and she had to get a job at a call center. A lot of her money goes to alcohol and cigarettes too. She smokes a pack a day and she smokes the expensive kind LMFAO. Well, over 95% of the people who play those games never pay anything or pay a few bucks on a couple of occasions a year. The vast amount of money is paid by a tiny minority, but when you have 25 million players, that tiny minority will make you millions. Played a mobile game daily for about 18 months, one based on a popular science fiction TV series, spent maybe $100 in that time, most of which was only because my boss gave me a gift card. For a while, I was in the same team as 3 of the top 5 players, spenders, on the server. The top player was spending just stupid amounts of money, was way ahead of everyone else, and didn't really play the game the same way everyone else did. We got small gifts when teammates made purchases, so we had a pretty good idea of what she was spending. It was in the neighborhood of $100,000 USD over 6 months, no exaggeration. She was really vague if we asked what she did for a living, would just say she was retired. Some of the craziest shit I've ever seen. I got in deep with that game. Also spent about $50 I just had on a gift card. It just doesn't feel like real money, right? And then proceeded to spend another $150 of real actual money I needed for bills and food and shit. Deleted it off my phone after I realized how much I'd fucked myself when I had to ask my mom for money that month. 27 at the time. Posting this for all of the people who worry about strokes, it's good to know in general anyways. https://u2.b/bgpk, Oxford, DC. This is a song about identifying the stroke using the FAST method. I have been trained to be able to serve first aid and to volunteer in ambulances, in my country, not in the USA, and it seems pretty good. I'll be expanding on that down below. Notes: the FAST method is a method to quickly check for the symptoms of a stroke, because in a stroke time is the most precious time of all. A couple of hours can make a life and death difference. Each and every one of those is a symptom of a stroke. Only one of these needs to show up in a stroke, so it's recommended to call emergency services ASAP if one of those symptoms appears. Face. In times of stroke, one side of the face can seem to be drooping and stiff. That is due to the body losing motor controls in parts of the brain. Arms. In a stroke the sense of balance might be off. Tell the suspected patient to lift his arms to be in front of him, to close his eyes, and to try and keep his hands at the same height. If he is unable to do so, call the emergency services. Speech. Due to lack of fine motor controls while having a stroke, a person's speech will appear mumbled or incoherent. The person might hear you well and not even notice it. Time. In the video, the time is for time to call 911, but it can be a symptom too. A stroke victim might lack a sense of spatial and general awareness. They might lose track of time, and so ask them if they can tell what day of the week it is, or what month they are in. This is written on the go, and I am not a native English speaker. I will try to clarify it when I get home, but I am not sure I will have that time. I hope it helps you, but remember, strokes are very, very dangerous. This is unrelated to the thread, but if you don't mind me asking, what did the stroke feel like? My dad had one in October. He had a migraine for a week, went out to the pub one night with his friends and left early, came back home and started throwing up while my brother was downstairs. He went to sleep on the couch and thought he was just having some weird reaction to alcohol. My sister came downstairs in the morning and he was on the floor, half paralyzed and unable to speak properly. He died a week later. I was away at university at the time and the first time I'd seen him in weeks. He'd just come out surgery and was being woken up. He had to go back into a coma 12 hours later, so I never got to speak to him. I'm just interested in, maybe what he was thinking? His phone was right across the floor from him, but he never even attempted to pick it up and call my mom or someone, or shout for help. Not who you asked, but it sounds like your dad may have had a hemorrhagic stroke, based on the headache proceeding. There are two types of stroke, hemorrhagic and ischemic, clot, and the type of stroke determines the outcome. With cerebral hemorrhage, any part of the brain touched by blood is damaged and cannot be repaired. In an ischemic stroke, the damage is caused by blood being blocked from reaching all or part of the brain, and the damage can be mitigated by immediate removal of the blockage via surgery or medication. But my understanding is that a hemorrhagic event is much more devastating than an ischemic event and less likely to be recoverable. My knowledge of strokes came from my husband having a sudden ischemic stroke 4 years ago. There wasn't really any signs prior to the stroke, other than a minor headache the morning of that could have been unrelated. He said the stroke itself didn't feel like anything, he just became aware that his body wouldn't do what he wanted it to and he couldn't move the right side of his body or speak anything other than our son's name. He received treatment immediately, and slowly recovered 99% function over the following 6 months with occupational and physical therapy. There's a great book about a brain researcher who suffered a hemorrhagic stroke. I read it after my husband's stroke and highly recommend it. My Stroke of Insight, A Brain Scientist's Personal Journey. https://www.amazon.com/dp/045229554/ref=cm_ref=cm_rf=cp_i_u7qs FB3FX41. My dad suffered a transient ischemic attack, TIA, which is basically a mini-stroke last year. He nearly crashed his car, didn't tell anyone, and it was only after he collapsed the next day that he went to hospital. They kept him in for obs, let him go home, and a day later he lost all feeling in his right side, but being a stubborn asshole he didn't tell anyone until 5 hours later. By that point he got an ambulance trip, spent 3 months in hospital and now can shuffle around the house but has no use of his right arm anymore and slurs his speech. Doctors say if he got to the hospital earlier they could have given him meds and he would have been fine. Also, I feel the need to point out that this is UK and has NHS, so free healthcare. So his unwillingness to go to hospital was just stubbornness. Folks, if you feel shit, don't ignore it, go to the damn hospital. I was sitting on a bed in a bedroom one afternoon just working on my laptop and then it felt like someone was pushing my head down on the bed. For the first few minutes or even hours I tried going from room to room but would always lose my balance and collapse on a nearby bed or couch. I threw up a couple of times. I thought I could sleep it off but I couldn't, thought I was hungry but just kept throwing up what I ate. Fortunately during this I managed to text my brother and he took me to the ER. It was an ischemic stroke of the cerebellum. My balance is still wonky to this day, and I've needed to relearn how to walk. Nowadays I use a wheelchair, walkers, or canes. Google in background keeps on scanning the entire web and keep on indexing pages based on keywords it found on those pages. Based on many parameters they define the page ranking and index everything. When you search on Google it's mostly pre-computed data which is replicated all across the globe so that the results can be published for you as soon as possible. This is their main business. Most of their servers, data stores run to accomplish this. Whereas in case of personal data, Google has to go through multiple archives of your data. Think of it as keeping the data in a storage unit instead of your house. They have to do it for all their different services. Collate the data and share it with you. 2 to 3 days is not unheard of when getting archived data. Though it depends upon how and where are they getting the data from. Archiving data helps companies keep the cost of storage low. Also there might be some Google internal sensitive or critical information associated with your data which they might prune from the data before they can share it with you. It's not like Google takes 10 days to search all the places where your data can be. It's more like retrieving and batch processing large amount of data which isn't specifically a high priority task. I find this so interesting. Like, I know this. And yet when tailored ads come up, I almost feel repelled. I feel immensely irritated that I've been tracked in order for that tailoring to happen. It never makes me want to buy anything, and I am honestly not sure if I have ever bought anything from one of those. And don't get me wrong, I shop online and spend money on stuff I don't need, but never that way. Is this unusual? Are they still winning, as it were, and I just don't understand? That's how you feel in the moment, but then you forget that feeling because all emotions fade. Then even later you'll forget you saw the ad at all, but the idea of the product is still in your mind. You don't even know where the idea came from, but you realize it's there and it must be there for some reason. Maybe you wanted to buy that thing? I mean, it is your kind of thing. Then you go buy it because now it's coming from your own mind, not an ad. Look up the sleeper effect in psychology. The data doesn't lie. They have a record of every place you have ever been. I took Lyft ride to my mechanic to pick up my car. That night I wanted to send a text, but couldn't find my phone. I looked everywhere, and then I remembered the last time I had the phone was when I was in the Lyft car. So I thought, I left the phone in the car. I went to the Lyft site, and sure enough there was a link for Get Something? Click here to contact the driver. I thought, oh good. Well, turns out, you need your phone to even log in. So I was out of luck. Did some search, and someone suggested, if you are on Android, sign into your Gmail, and look for the phone's location. Holy shit. They have GPS records of all the places you have ever been. Minute by minute, day by day. For the last several years. The record showed me the phone going from my home to the mechanic's, and hasn't moved since. That's how I found out I left it there. Every time I go to the liquor store, they ask me if I have a reward card. I always say no, because I don't want any private company have a record of how much and how often I buy booze. The 5% discount is not worth it. Guess what? Google knows how often you stop at a liquor store. Not just that store with the rewards card, but every goddamn liquor store you have ever been in. And oh, once they realized that my phone was at a mechanic's place for a whole night, most of the ads for my apps and games were auto parts stores and auto repair places. This saved me once, but it's still scary. I stumbled across the email thing while I was trying to figure out how to access data from one of my old phones that I didn't remember the password to. A month or two later, I had a run-in with a Karen in the parking lot and accidentally left my phone on the back bumper of some random truck. By the time I figured out where I had left it, the car was already gone. I pulled up this tracker and was able to watch everywhere the truck went, from when it left the store to when it stopped at McDonald's to when it pulled into a neighborhood and finally stopped moving. My husband and I went to the location and easily found my phone on the back of the truck. Based on its location in the parking lot, I had a pretty good idea where this person lived. And they had no idea the phone was even there, or they were being tracked by some random person who now knew where they lived. Also, you can track multiple devices if your email is on them. We lent my mom our tablet for a space of time since her phone wasn't working and the tablet had a phone number. When I first discovered this application, I realized I was able to track everywhere she went. You could easily track your friends or so's location by simply signing into your email on their phone. You don't have to get some crazy FBI technology to track a complete stranger either. Edit: https://www.google.com/android/find did equals *688w8ch gis 3i6vbnnc 8x90qqxclq59% 3dnu = 0. Edit 2. Please protect your Gmail passwords, people. Think of all the information someone has access to if they can just sign into your Google account. I expected this thread to be full of nothing because I don't think that download contains the profile used for ad personalization, but a lot of people seem to be surprised about the regular search/web/location history stuff. If you are among those surprised, you can turn off location and search history on https://myactivity.google.com/activity controls. Continue equals https://myaccount.google.com/data and personalization. If you don't want to follow random strangers' links to pages that may ask you to log in, good on you. Go to the Google homepage, log in if you aren't already, click on your profile icon in the top right, manage your Google account, and you have the activity controls and privacy settings there. You can set what Chrome syncs to your account, for example your browser history, or turn off sync completely. Or just use Firefox. You can also set a separate password that will be used to encrypt your data so you can still benefit from, for example, being able to see your desktop browser history and tabs on your phone without Google having access to it. I asked my ex-boyfriend to do this since he mentioned one day that he had a Google data storage thing. He said okay, but there might be some naked pictures of his ex on there. Me being a nice person said I didn't give a crap, I just wanted to see if he had downloaded or stored any pictures of the past semi-trucks he drove. I still drive. He doesn't. Little did I know once he downloaded it, he tried to erase it, but I am not stupid and saw it and told him to stop. He had a folder with thousands of pictures of multiple women in multiple compromising positions and poses. Some were porno mag quality, some were more like they sent the pictures to him, and others were like he surprised them in the bathroom. When I confronted him, he said he didn't know that all of these women's pictures were on there, apologizes, and then told me he was going to delete them. Few days later I catch him, after I had propositioned him for some love-ins, yanking it in THR bathroom to the pictures he supposedly deleted.